Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, and you're listening to the Comic Com, man. This is where you get all your comics info, and take that from a comics guy, a comic book man.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic-Con Podcast, Season 3, Episode 43. Recording this on October 25th. This is going to be the last episode of October until we get to November. So just before Halloween, just before my birthday as well. So this week, Mr. Manimal not here with us because he is in Vegas enjoying his time. Speaking of Vegas cats, I want to wish a happy birthday, who's hearing this a little later, Mr. Gabe. Gabe's Love 90s Comics. He was on the show a couple weeks ago. Happy birthday to Gabe. So shout out to him. And then, so I got some cohorts on with me. You know, we're always talking comics, and I love having people that are in the know in the comic book world, especially vendors, retailers, and everything else. So let's go with someone who've heard here multiple times on the podcast, Mr. Jeff comicdunes. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
How are you guys? We're doing well on my end. We just opened up a retail shop in northern Jersey, so we've had our hands full with that, and we're coming off a very successful Comic-Con weekend, which was very interesting. And yeah, thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure, man.
So if people don't know, Jeff is not real. He's also my Pinocchio, my Jiminy Cricket to the Pinocchio.
That's right.
There's some stuff going on. You know, if you want to know that, you can actually hit me up in the DMs.
Oh my God.
So Jeff is an absolute scholar and a gentleman. He took care of me when I was much needed before New York Comic Con, and we'll leave it at that. And then our other guest, here on the show, who was planned to be on the show, and neither of these guys knew that they were both going to be on together. And this was something planned. I figured, you know, he hasn't been here for a while, and there's been some updates to things. But we have Kevin from Shortboxed. Mr. Kevin, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are you guys? It's nice to see both your, well, I guess you guys can't hear that are listening, but these guys are both so handsome. It's so nice to see them both.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's interesting. So Jeff wasn't at Baltimore. I saw you at Baltimore, and then you guys didn't come to New York, and I had to deal with Jeff in New York. So, but it's been a while.
At least that's kind of his stomping grounds, you know. So at least
Jeff in full force. It was
unfiltered Jeff.
Oh.
Yeah. It was great to see you in Baltimore. It was been a while since I saw you. You know, great time. You guys were set up at the booth, and you and Gene, you know, rocking it over there. And then again, Mr. Comic Dunes was set up with Jam Comics over in New York. So you guys both, you know, killed it. I obviously, you know, had so much fun hanging out with you guys over the weekend. Both in September and October. So, you know, what's the next show? What's the next show that everyone's going to? Shortbox? What do you got?
We've got the Collectors Summit coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend in Dallas, Texas. Really looking forward to that one. There's going to be some crazy books in the room, some top-notch dealers. And from what I understand, because this isn't a show that I normally do for the company, but I get through this year, and I hear it's more of a party vibe than a show vibe. So looking forward to seeing what that means.
You want a party vibe, man? You got to come up to Terrificon, man. Go to the casino.
It's happening. Mark my words. I'm going to do Terrificon. There's a few that I really, really want to do that are not the big shows. You know, I've been to all the big shows. I not that I've met everybody, but I met a lot of people, and I'd like to meet some new people. So see if we can make that happen. But yeah, Collectors Summit coming up just in about a week and a half here. And I'm actually spending the rest of the week in Texas driving around to check out some other comic shops in San Antonio and Houston. So that should be interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's nice when you get out of your comfort zone as far as shops. Like I was in Dallas last year for my work, and you know, I rented a car and I Googled shops wherever I could, and even if it was like a 30-minute drive, I had to go check it out. You know, you want to see different places. You don't want to go to your normal stopping ground. So it's always good to get 100%. Out and see what
and working from home too. You know, for the most part, the shows are the only time I get out and about. So I'm going to do it big for the last one of the year.
Awesome. All right. So before we get into some articles and we learn all about some updates on Shortbox and just kind of chop it up with these two guys, got a couple community questions here. Of course, you can always find us on our email, the comicconpodcast@gmail.com, or you can always hit us up on the Instagram. So, of course, this comes over from our stories. So let's start with someone who Jeff and I know pretty well, Mr. Ghostface. Ghostface asks, Nemesis Prime, what's your least favorite Star Wars character? And I guess we could kind of really go around the horn on this one.
I love Jimmy.
Ghostface. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Shout out to my son, Ghostface.
Least favorite Star Wars character? It's tough. It's a tough one, but I would probably go with. I'm not a Lando fan. Like main characters, I'm not a Lando fan. If I had to go like main characters for sure.
What is it? Is he too smarmy? Is he too?
Did you have
smug?
a bad experience with Colt 45 as a child?
Yeah,
I'm so confused by what you just said to us.
Did Billie Jean Williams do something to you?
Yeah, show me where this.
He ruined my Batman when he was cast as Harvey Dent.
Two-Face.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh.
So good. Everyone forgets he was
Harvey.
#no.
Oh man.
So what about you guys? Any I know you're not huge Star Wars guys, but
yeah, I don't read as much as the Star Wars comics as you, so I'd have to pull directly from the movies.
Yeah, me too.
It would probably. I despise Jar Jar Binks when he first came out.
That's what I was gonna say.
And that's kind of like. I was so hyped as a kid for the prequel trilogies. I stayed in line for almost what it seemed like eternity with my cousins because they had watched the original back in the theater, and we were all hyped. And Misa just fucking hated it. It was bad.
Yeah,
but I love the Phantom
fan.
Menace. If you could just omit him.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Darth Maul, the Jedi, the Trade Federation, whatever you get. Anakin as a kid. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But yeah.
And then I think the Gamorrean soldiers, right? The pig-looking guys. They scared me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those guys. They're adorable.
So Kevin, you're gonna go with Jar Jar.
Yeah.
All
Like
right.
not only was it not that good when it was in theaters, but then it didn't age any better. It didn't didn't do the flip. Some things can do that pop culture flip where it's oh, Jar Jar, but no, I don't think anybody's claiming him.
Still annoying in all the movies, and even they couldn't even get him to be better, even in Clone Wars, like the animated series. You still were just
at least they
have episodes with him.
At least they gave him an actual Jedi scene.
Oh well, the guy who
I don't think that was the issue, though.
I know.
Well, right. Ghostface, appreciate the question. This one's actually pretty good, and I don't know for this one. So we got our friend Mike the Beast Benson, been on the podcast, Instagram or YouTuber. He says, who would you guys cast as Dracula in the MCU? I'm not gonna lie. I really liked when Luke Evans played Dracula in that movie. He was a badass Dracula character, and I wouldn't mind him reprising his role in the same vein, but more in the MCU. More of obviously the MCU version than the old Vlad the Conqueror version. So,
I've never given that any thought. That's a good question. I don't know.
When I'm thinking of Dracula, what keeps popping in my head is Nicolas Cage and Renfield.
I just watched that. It's amazing.
I'm pretty sure that the correct answer for all casting questions is Nicolas Cage. At least once. So I'm gonna go with Nicolas Cage.
Who's the guy from Into the Shadows?
Oh God, yeah.
You talking about the main dude?
The main one of the guys. Give me the Flight of the Conchords guy.
Oh shit.
It's somebody from one of those comedies. That's what I when I think Dracula.
Matt Berry would be hilarious. He's not Matt Berry would be hilarious.
I mean, we can go old school and do Eddie Murphy, Vampire in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
I know you're gonna say the other movie he had back in the day. What was it? Who is the vampire in this one? Let's see. Let me pull it up.
We need maybe some diversity in Dracula. So maybe I don't know, Bruno Mars.
Yeah, we got Singer who's gonna be in Deadpool, and we had Bad Bunny. He was gonna be somebody.
There you go.
Oh, you want really old school?
Oh, Blackula.
Yeah. Who? See, we're already here. Who's the cast? William Marshall as Blackula. He kind of looks like Billy D. Williams. This is full circle, so I would go with Billy D. Williams.
Wow. I mean, I'd probably go with Lando, but yeah.
The Cloud City Count.
Oh God. Jesus.
That's good. That's good.
Oh,
I'm in
God.
with it.
Too good. Well, appreciate the question, Mike. Let's get on to our final question. And this one's actually from Milton the Manimal. And this is actually a question for Jeff.
Ooh.
He goes,
boy.
Why
I'm
has
nervous.
Jeff never crushed Kevin? Is it because he doesn't consider him a legend?
I have to look in the history of pictures. There may or may not be a crush of Kevin hidden behind the scenes. I know for a fact there's one person I won't crush. That's Joe Rock. He doesn't get crushed. He gets hearted. But Kevin's borderline hearted. Borderline. We bonded.
The crush is smoldering. The crush is smoldering.
Yeah. It's so. Good question, Milton. Watch yourself. You're on deck to get crushed. Kevin may or may not get crushed, but no one is safe. I'm a legend crusher. So it's just what it is.
Can you please, for the people who don't know, can you explain the legend crushing?
Oh, the whole lore behind Dunes, the legend crusher.
Yes, yeah. People have probably seen some of the photos, but if they don't follow you, can you just briefly explain?
How in depth do you want me to go?
Very quickly.
Okay.
Like, give me the 30-second elevator.
Okay, so back when I used to attend the Little Giants convention, we were there, and Jason always had like Steranko. He always have a ton of cool guests, right? And I like one day Jason and I were like bullshitting, and I had just put my fingers up, and I was like, dude, get in front of me. I'm gonna take a picture, Jay, and I'm gonna crush Steranko's head. And he was like, nah. I was like, oh, come on. And he turned around, he did it, and I snapped it real quick, right? Because Jay and I used to fuck around like that all the time. So I did like a quick crush, and then I don't know, it just started going around, and then it progressed to like anyone that I saw that I thought we could crush that would be funny, I would just crush.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of it tailed into like influencers or people,
other writers and artists.
Writers, like actual legends, the writers, the creators, and stuff like that. And then it's just a big joke. It's an ongoing joke to people that know me, and I like to have a lot of fun. There's not a day that goes by where someone doesn't get crushed in my house. So, no one's safe, Kevin, and it comes back to that.
And a low cost joke. I mean, all it takes is you have the equipment built onto the ends of your arms.
That's it.
You got all you need.
Yeah. I want everyone to crush someone. Try to crush me at a show and tag me. Let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
Right. Crush Kevin, crush Nemi, and let's see what we can do.
I think
let's have fun with this.
We should almost start like the ice bucket challenge.
Ooh.
And have a hashtag specifically for this, and
like
see
crush across America.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Crushing for
actually,
cancer.
This is a good idea.
A fundraiser.
Crushing for cancer.
I'm in it. I'm all in that shit.
And then you like have to, like if you crush someone, then you tag somebody, and then they have to crush someone, and it just keeps going like the.
And they crush a friend, and they crush a friend, and they crush a friend.
Oh man, this could be a good idea.
Wayne World reference.
Well, I appreciate that's the crushing of legends.
Yes.
It's coming. It's coming to a Comic-Con near you and Instagram as well. So whoever wants to start it, please tag us all, and we'll have fun going forward. Maybe Kevin will crush some people in Dallas in a week or so.
I mean, there also is another thing that we have going on. I don't know if Kevin wants to talk about that. That's that's risque. We can hold that up.
I know what you're talking about. So we're gonna
we'll save that
in the description. We'll leave that alone.
We'll save that for when I'm not officially affiliated with work while I'm talking about it. It's nothing untoward, everyone.
No,
not really. It's
comic. It's 100% comic book related.
It's an artistic endeavor. That
if you're an artist, you'll like what these guys do. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm not part of it, but I know of it.
Yeah.
Great question, Milton. Great question.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. So again, great questions, everyone. Thank you so much. And let's kind of quickly get into the articles, and then we're gonna get going with learning some updates on Shortboxed. So released this week, and this is over at directly from Magic the Gathering. If you haven't heard, Magic the Gathering is collaborating with Marvel Comics Beginning. So this is actually just pushed over a couple days ago. Collaboration years in the making is underway. So the Titans of Entertainment, found in stores worldwide, Magic the Gathering, one of the most popular trading card games, and Marvel, one of the world's most predominant character-based entertainment companies, are collaborating to share fan favorite superheroes, villains, and more than in their amazing tabletop game. So coming in 2024. So over the past couple of years, and I don't know, I'm not huge into Magic, but I have seen a lot of collaborations with Magic the Gathering. They've done Doctor Who, they've done Transformers, obviously the latest one, which was the Lord of the Rings, trying to get that one ring. Warhammer's been in there.
Fortnite.
You know, oh really? They did a Fortnite
I was
Magic
reading they
together?
did a Fortnite one, I thought.
Oh, well,
Are they cool? Do you guys play Magic? Are they cool collaborations? These ones that we're mentioning? Did they go well?
So I don't know. That's the thing, because again, none of us play. For me, like if I was a collector, like I saw a lot of the Transformers cards, and I think they were really cool. Like, don't get me wrong, there were some of the cheap ones that are still cool, but then they get into those like foils and etch or whatever they are, legendaries. Yeah, there's like the super chase cards that are more expensive. I would collect them just because it's cool. Like I'd want like the Transformers ones. Did I go out and try to buy like a box and try to open up on those Lord of the Rings? No.
I did on the Lord of the Rings, and I opened up a box. I got the regular Lord of the Rings box, like the card, whatever, made like $100. I lost on it, but that was like a gamble, right? There was one ring, one chase. You could get the David Adams had the bounty for like 2 million or whatever it was. That was wild. So that was cool. So like you were talking about Transformers, was there one chase card for that, or one card that is like you can't really like have that equivalent of the One Ring, right? But maybe like something that's along like with their Power 9 or whatever they call it. That's like here's an Optimus transforming and he just shuts the game down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do they have anything like that?
So there is like a Optimus Prime, Shattered Glass Optimus Prime, and if people know the story of the Shattered Glass, it's the Autobots are the Decepticons, and the Decepticons are the Autobots. So basically, in that storyline, Optimus is a bad guy and Megatron's a good guy, and there are the foil versions of those cards, and they are pretty expensive. Any of the foiled Shattered Glass, they're pretty. I've seen them go for almost $1,000. They're graded, obviously, well over 1,000. So those are the ones, but there's not like the One Ring. So obviously, with this coming out, what are your guys' thoughts on? Are they going to do a 1-of-1, or what do you think would be the top card? Would it be like a hero card? Would it be like
what are the relics in the universe, right? If you're thinking about like the One Ring, right away I thought of something that would be on par with that, maybe like the Infinity Gauntlet,
Tesseract,
right? Something like that. Then maybe they have like Cosmic Cube or stuff like that. Maybe certain weapons might be there. I don't know.
Thor's hammer, Cap shield, stuff like that.
Yeah, or a certain character who might be, one of the strongest in the entire universe or something like that. I don't know. But then this confuses me because doesn't Disney own Marvel? And Disney just did Lorcana, which was kind of like a playable game. And I don't play these games, so I can't necessarily compare it to Magic, but it's playable like Magic, right? So you think that they would just do the same thing with their own IP? I don't know. That confuses me too. So
I think they want to have their own homebrew version, which is Lorcana, which is all like the Disney characters and stuff. I think Marvel being its own, acquired entity, I think maybe is motivating them to do this sort of collaboration. But I mean, I think it's cool from a collectible standpoint. There's always cool shit to collect, but I do remember playing Magic when I was younger and really liking the game mechanics and how it worked. So when these collaborations happen, I'm always like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, like, what's the longevity? Are these cards going to be cool to play with in 3 years? Most cases, I would imagine the answer is yes, but like, there's always so much stuff changing in comics all the time. Certain characters matter right now, and in a year, no one will even be thinking about them. So I don't know. I'm curious what sort of a plan there is. Is this just like a one-time collab, or are they going to bring in different versions of Spider characters, or because that could be really cool, but then it kind of, I think, starts to overtake
Yeah, you go down that rabbit
Magic
hole.
aspect.
Like, do we have
You're
an
creating your own
X-Men
game within a
soon, or-
game.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also,
It is.
the Magic cards on their own are like timeless. Like you can use those Eldritch, whatever, like you can use the characters whenever, and it doesn't feel out of place. But I don't know. I feel like if you do a bunch of cards on hot characters right now and things that people are vibing off the movies, like, is that going to be cool later for the play at least? I don't know.
I think it's a quick grab for people like us, in the comic book world that just want the cards. Because again, like I
Yeah,
like the Transformers
100%.
ones. I would have just grabbed them and they would be sitting in like top loaders, or maybe I would have,
Right.
if I would have gotten like the Transformers, like Optimus Prime, I would have graded it. It would have been cool to have. But,
Hell yeah.
It's going to be tough because, like, realistically, then you're going to have to get invested into Magic the Gathering. Then you're going to learn it. And then you may end up getting either out of comics, or you're just going to be like, wow, I just wasted all this money and now I just have a box of cards. And then you'll just bring it to your local comic or local card store and then just trade all this stuff in. And they're going to look at you like, they're going to give you nothing because it's the same thing like with, comics. There's bulk in comics, just like there's bulk in cards.
You sound like you have a lot of experience in that.
Well, and I do. I did last year. I bought a big Magic the Gathering collection, and I did have a lot of the dual lands and sold quite a bit of them. And that's all I know. I know the dual lands and I know some other things, but that's as far as that goes. And yeah, I got into the Lorcana briefly, but that was quick and done.
Don't you and Newbie have that love affair with cracking packs in hotel rooms?
God.
Ripping wax, cracking packs.
Yeah, breaking packs or whatever they call it.
Breaking bricks.
Ripping packs and boxes.
Listen, I will rip. I will rip some of these world famous San Diego Zoo cards right
now. This guy pulled the Harambe rookie real time. We gotta save this. Let's go.
Animals of the Wild. I will literally rip one of these 4 packs right here and see who we get.
A Harambe auto, 1 of 1. True crime cards. Wow.
I'm going for this Ted Bundy.
He's this guy. Yeah, this guy is the king of buying the randomest cards. Okay. But that's what it is. I mean, we have all these things that we try to collaborate. And you got Marvel, like you said. I think that's a great thing that Jeff brought up with the Lorcana, because I could really see like why would they go that route unless this has been in the works well before Lorcana, because I'm sure there's probably been a wait list of how many different IPs to get onto Magic the Gathering, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're right. It's probably going to take the direction where it's like the relics and the icons of the Marvel, of the MCU or the Marvel. What do you got there, Jeff? Oh, look, some Desert Storm.
This is the Desert Storm where you could pull the Norman
George Bush.
You can get the George Bush. I think.
I'm pretty sure I have a binder with like the 9 sleeve or the 9 page with those in it. I think I have them out of the pack.
The Keanu Reeves rookie card. Also, you can get the Rufus. That's the first time George Carlin was printed on a card. So technically, that's the George Carlin rookie. That's right, guys. You heard it here first. So Comic Dunes Comic Con podcast. Nemesis Prime.
So for those that can't see, Jeff's holding up a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure collectible card pack that is unopened. It looks like.
Kev, I hope you're sitting down. This one's gonna rock your socks.
Right hold on. All right, go. Whoa, Roger Rabbit trading cards. Damn, now, bro.
Here's the double. If you can score the double Bob Hoskins, that's a clean 5-figure payday.
Clean sweep.
Smack across the face. Nobody wants it. Wants it. It's pretty good. So we got a few packs of these. If you want, we can open some and try to get the hologram.
I feel like if we did giveaways, I feel like if we actually did giveaways here on this podcast, we should just do like 1 pack of each thing that Jeff has, but we don't do that.
You guys hear that? We're gonna do one quick.
Please don't waste the listeners' time by not showing them what they're pulling.
This podcast just turned into a 4-hour wax ripping sesh.
I'm looking for.
Hope you guys are ready.
I think I just got first appearance of the Mario Brothers.
Listen, unless you're getting like a gold Yoshi auto.
Stop. Gold autographed by the actor who played Yoshi.
Yeah, that's all you're getting. So
all right.
Let's move on to one of our other articles, other than Magic the Gathering. Another Marvel article, and I feel like this is kind of perfect with the release of Spider-Man 2 that just came out last week. So over at Marvel.com, Edge of Spider-Verse returns with more new web slingers and spotlights on iconic favorites. So the blockbuster Edge of Spider-Verse series returns on February 22nd. This time it's building the biggest Spider-Verse epic in Marvel Comics history. Launching in February, the series takes readers to the bleeding edge of the Spider-Verse once more, reacquainting you with the old favorites and introducing you to some of the most important web slingers heroes you haven't heard yet. So most important in Edge of Spider-Verse #1, we're going to be getting a first appearance of Weapon 8 and the comeback of the tech-savvy Spider-Bite we saw in Across the Spider-Verse. So we all know who Weapon X is, but who is Weapon 8? Find out in story coming out when Weapon X escapes from this facility. They call on their greatest previous success to get back in, a Weapon 8. So it's basically looks like Weapon X, but it's a Spider-Verse character. I feel like the Spider-Verse just keeps going, and we always get this. Like, didn't we just have a series earlier this year or the end of last year?
I think.
Like the end of the Spider-Verse, and they just keep.
Yeah, they ended it 2022. I think it was like a Bagley, like a little short series they did, and it was supposed to be the end, but just like freaking Kiss or Iron Maiden, that farewell tour, was not as advertised. You could have waited a year. So I think it's coming back. I feel like with a lot of franchises that do this or worlds that they keep coming back to the well, I think out of all of them, the Spider-Man one or the Spider-Verse one is probably the one that can get away with it. Like, it's going to be chaotic and weird and fun. And there'll be, I mean, for God's sake, they gave us a character in the last one that was Spiders Man, which was just like a bodysuit full of a bunch of spiders.
That was
like
cool.
Unreal. Coolest freaking characters ever. I'm super here for it. But yeah, I mean, it is a little annoying when I don't know whether to be more annoyed at titles that end too early or titles like this that like say they're ending and then they're like, coming back for more. But I'm sure it's going to be fun to read. I'm sure it's going to generate a few first appearance keys and
of course,
the collector community all.
Yeah, you weren't a fan of Spinstress, was it Princess Spinster or Spinstress, the Disney princess version in the last series that they came out when she was like singing the entire issue. That was her series.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm into all of them, dude. Like, I'll take the manga one, I'll take animated Spider, I'll take a robot, I'll take old man Uncle Ben.
Behind that,
I'll take them all. Yeah.
Jeff, thoughts?
The only thing I don't like how he looks like 1990s Scott Summers Cyclops.
I thought that was hilarious.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. I was like, okay, I'm not so much impressed by the main cover character, right? But like Kev said, I can get behind any of that. My biggest fear when I saw that, this might get hot here, guys, so I'm sorry ahead of time, is I'm terrified of what the aftermarket and all these variant books that are going to come out because of this again. And like, who's going to make the 300 homage? Who's going to make the terrible cash grab book and foil it for the next show?
Yeah.
And then which one of these guys are going to make another?
These titles are the poison pills for comic shops.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the ones that will put your business under in a order in a few months of a title. If you really decide to just fuck it, I'm doing it, and like commit and go and get the 1 in 100s of all these random, like it is a really hard thing to resist when you own a shop and you have the power to bring in all the cool stuff that you wish was on the shop, shelves when you shopped as a kid.
We won't do new book issues. I won't do any new books in my shop. My shop's all vintage, and I've had people like, you're crazy, but because of shenanigans like this by people, a variant that's a cash grab, right? It's just the current state of the marketplace could be reflected in an instant in this book, right? It probably is going to, whatever. I mean, these guys putting the crap books out, they don't care, and it is what it is.
I think this one will be saved by the fact that Spider-Man has like an intergenerational, universal appeal. Like, Spider-Man's fan base isn't like static by any means. It's continually growing and bringing new people into the franchise and what is going on in that world. So I feel like there's enough people to buy those books now, but talk about Edge of Spider-Verse, 2035. We're gonna, maybe be in a different. A lot sooner than that, obviously, but I think this one will be fun. Honestly, I think it'll be cool. It doesn't sound like it's like a 20 issue cash grab. If it's a 5-issue cash grab, I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's how I feel like that's the way it typically goes. And just to kind of piggyback off of, Jeff's comment, and it's right, like the variants are coming. So we're gonna get this first appearance of Weapon 7, who is closely related to Weapon X. So it's a Wolverine thing. So how many homages of like Wolverine type of covers are we gonna get? Are we gonna get an Edge of Spider-Verse 1 homage of like Hulk 181 or Wolverine 1? Like they're coming, right? We know it's
you'll get like the Wolverine 1 do you poo nonsense.
I was going to say, just wait until the exclusive variants start to come out. The ones that aren't, like incentive or ratio variants, like it's going to be wild.
But it hurts long term. It hurts so much long term. That I don't know. I wish again we would have a little bit more education like that. Hey, Reddy, how about this? Swaggle House, if you're listening, my man, do me a favor. Make a video about how the prices of these books don't hold long term. I'm tired of hearing about the sky is falling on stuff that not even close to what you're talking about. So give me a video about what these guys, Epic Nations variants, or this guy's variants, or that girl's variant, whoever the variants are. Let's talk about their prices, because that's going to alienate everybody that's coming into this, and that's going to have a bigger effect than the claim of the sky is falling.
I think that those folks will talk themselves out of audiences if it doesn't go well. You know what I mean? Like, I think people will get variant shy. It does happen.
Well, that the variant shyness is essentially in the gimmick covers. Is what, like, we were talking about it briefly the last time Justin had me on, and then again, it's like magically all these guys start talking about it again. But we've been living in the 90s for a while, and I've been screaming at the freaking mountaintops. It's like we had this gimmick nonsense when we were kids, right? Maybe no one else recognizes it because they got into the game way too late.
I mean, definitely.
I don't know, but like,
I agree. There's a lot of people in the community that's been on this podcast that I've met over the past few years, and they're like, oh, I'm new to collecting. I just started picking up, whether it was like 6 years ago or during COVID, and they don't remember the 90s like we do. Like there's so much that you missed out, and you're just like,
fine. But those guys that are coming back into it, we need them to stay into it, right? Like they can't get burned on these books that have no substance. And that's what's happening, right? Like, dude, who was the Comic Mint? The Comic-Con had like A to Z variants, and 20 of them were foils with the same like that's foil. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, are we building solar panels? Or are we printing comic books? Like, I don't understand what's happening.
Sure,
dude. Every time I think of foils, I just think back when I think it was at Valiant. It was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. They found a roll of the old foil paper or the hologram paper they used to use, and they just put out like every single book with like 6 different crisscrossing hologram patterns. I was in heaven. I felt dumb buying them, but I needed them.
How many copies do you have?
Oh, I'm sure I've got a handful in a box somewhere. I only big on the first question. None, because they're buried in this mess over my shoulder here.
Because they're lying on top of my grand piano.
Nice.
Oh, indeed.
That's a little inside joke from before we started. So let's get out of this. So again, Edge of Spider-Verse coming February 22nd. Be sure to pre-order it. First appearances galore. It's going to be, it's a 4-issue miniseries. So the first one is going to have your first appearance of Weapon 8. Out of the articles and into some comic book talk with Kevin from Shortboxed. So when Kevin was on here last time, you can go check out that episode. Obviously we talked about the Shortboxed app and what you can do, buying, selling. But since then, Shortboxed has actually had a lot of stuff updated through the app. And, having, someone obviously who's worked with Shortboxed for a very long time, I wanted to bring Kevin back on, kind of give us some updates if you haven't used the app in a while and it's something that you've just either had in the background or maybe it's just been laying on your phone and you don't go on it. Kevin, let's kind of talk about some updates. So previously, for people that do know, obviously, or don't know, you go on the app, you can buy and sell graded books. They recently, was it last year you guys had the update where it was kind of you could see the pricing model was something that was really interesting.
Great
and
feature.
Also
great feature.
Absolutely great feature. And also your collection. So you can actually put your stuff up there as well.
Right. Yep.
Since that time, what do we had some updates?
Hold on. But we got
I was gonna
after that, and then there was more updates.
I think chronologically, since the last time I was on, we added the price guide, and then we moved into the portfolio and raw books, and then we got into there's been a lot. There's been a lot of growth. Just tons of tweaks to improving the whole performance of things. We now allow people to use, coupons when or their promo codes when they check out, even if it's on an offer. But this is all going to sort of fade into the background in the next couple of weeks as we get closer and closer to releasing auctions on the app. So this isn't auctions in the way that you would think of like an eBay auction where you go in and you do your pictures and it counts down and you can set a reserve. Think of this more of like event style auctions. So auctions from the big platforms like Heritage and Comic Link and stuff like that, except wrapped in the beautiful packaging of our app with tons of attention paid to the user experience to make sure that not only does it go smoothly, but also that there's a lot of transparency and who's doing what bids, not specifically who's who, but there's a way that you can see how many unique bidders are on the item and things like that. Just been testing the heck out of it, and it's super excited, or we're super excited to show it off. I don't know if we're going to do like teaser videos before that happens or what, but I believe what we're going to start with is a couple of auctions that we are going to provide the items for. And items will probably be between the like $100 to $300 range to get a lot of people participating and checking out the new tools and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then once we get a few of those under our belt and we feel like we can grow that to scale and we can start accepting stuff, we will still be initially the arbiters of what items go up for auction, but we'll be bringing in more and more of our trusted sellers to take a shot at auctions and see how it goes. And then eventually at some point, I get asked this question all the time, so I will cut it off at the pass. Is there live selling coming to the app? I mean, we're not, as I've always said, we're not shutting the door on that. It seems like a very natural next step for the app after we get auctions in. Like that's a thing that needs to be there in order for that to happen. So who knows? I can't really confirm nor deny, but I can say that the door is definitely not closed on that becoming a possibility in the future. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of the like bullet point headlines. What do you guys got? Jeff's over here blowing the air horn for me.
That's amazing. I love it.
It's going to be crazy nice.
It's a lot to take in. Let me start. Let me get back with so again, I like the idea that you're starting, small, like you're not dipping into those like high-end Silver Age books, with these auctions, right? Like you got to start somewhere. Like obviously not everybody, if you want those books, go to Heritage, right? In the beginning, like go to Comic Link. Like let's see some people who are
platform too, though.
Well, no, agreed. But like when you're going to start this auction, like you can't, if
you can't ask sellers to give us a book that they could take an insane loss on because there hasn't been the proven traffic. There hasn't been the proven like the efficacy of the new tools and making sure that the process is going to go without a hitch. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't want to get ourselves into a situation where we feel obligated to cover some of the loss on a seller's book because one of our first auctions didn't go well. Like that's not a place we want to be in. So we start with the small books where we can manage that stuff, where we feel like we can get enough traffic in to make those auctions worthwhile for the sellers. And also so the buyers have some fun and get to like check stuff out without having to, do a bunch of five-figure bids. But we will get there eventually, obviously, if we can if we get this rolling.
I think it's all about the alienation. Like obviously people that are on that app aren't your high end, there are, don't get me wrong, there are high end users that do use your app to buy and sell. But I think having the lower end people like, just any Joe Schmo who wants to just check out the app, that's obviously the best way to get those people. Because again, those $100, $200, $300 books are the way to really get those people. Because those are I would think your bread and butter. In my opinion, I think those are the ones that are really using the app on a constant basis.
You're right. I mean, in that price range is like almost like knee-jerk purchase range, where it's like, oh, I bought a book today. That's $300. It's not like you just blew your whole bank account on a. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to be in debt for a while.
That price point is what people spend. I feel like on a book in their collection, right?
Yeah.
Like on that, we had a lot of sales at Comic-Con.
In one shot. One shot.
We're like, oh, you know what? I'll take that key, $100. Boom, let's go. And,
all day.
And to build on what you were saying, Kev, before, like you hit it on the head. and Justin can attest for this too. Like I've been frontline for building out auctions that necessarily didn't want to listen, and kind of was running and jumping and building a house before you knew how to crawl in the comic space. And I was crucified and just destroyed. I mean, like he said, alienated, like relationships you wouldn't believe just because you wanted to have a shot to build something out, and that's not how I operate. So to hear you guys say that, that's why I was like, I love it, because I've been there, and taking that right approach is the way that it should be. So kudos to you guys.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and for like something that Justin was mentioned a little earlier, like the big books aren't the huge dominating force on the app. We do want to get more of those, but the thing is that these big books tend to go at auctions. So now we've built auctions. So we're hoping we see more of those big sales on the app on a more like real regular basis, and sellers get comfortable considering our platform is like, what maybe the new standard on how to do stuff. We also have some things coming that I didn't mention. If you guys have been browsing in the app lately, you probably noticed that we've got some badges that are starting to show up on various listings. So we've been collecting feedback, and we're starting to provide seller badges so that shoppers have some sense of who the seller is as a business person before they buy. We have one right now for Trusted Grader. That's for sellers that have gotten 80% or more feedback, positive feedback on 5 or more sales for raw books. And then we have Power Seller Graded and Power Seller Raw. That just indicates that seller has a lot of stuff and they price really well, so they sell a lot of stuff regularly. And as we develop that, we're going to add other badges in, things like Trusted Shipper, so that this person is going to stick your freaking $75 minor key into a manila envelope and send that to you in the mail. We're going to also implement things like various tiers to each of these badges, and maybe we'll reward people for unlocking certain levels of this. So we're planning to sort of like gamify and build out the platform a bit so that people that do really well, they get to reap some benefit from it, maybe some more money in their pocket, whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, I think that was I initially, when you guys were going to go live with the raw stuff, I was like, how are they going to immediately have someone who they've never done this before and trust that someone's saying, oh, this is a near mint book, or this is a VF book from like the Silver Age. But again, the badges kind of help out, obviously as the seller. Like if it's myself and I'm selling raw books and I'm selling, multiple items, obviously, showing the badge, even though it's not my name, but obviously just in general, like you get to see that, and it's like, oh yeah, this person does know how to grade. They do the Jeff way of grading, which I think Jeff does a great job on his, grades. So
there's also a way that's coming for.
I would get that shipping badge as well. I'm just going to toot my own horn a little bit.
Yeah,
my shipping is fucking class.
Jeff
class
is the
act.
Jeff is minus like under a day of actually it's like there shouldn't be less than 1 day. It should be like plus 6 minutes after a whatnot show is.
After
like,
the show was done, my shipping is packed and staged. I have one.
It becomes a Zen practice when you do it a lot. I mean, you might not like it, but it's a process that you just get good at really going quickly. And Jeff is a master of his craft, so it's I'm not that surprised. Actually,
I appreciate that. I'll take that badge.
No, of course.
Badge number 1.
Jeff, did you have a
Come
question?
get that badge, boy.
Is there a minimum? What's the minimum for raw books on the app?
$20 currently. $20 value is the lowest you can list books for on the app. That's in place, I think, probably initially, so you don't just become like a dumping ground for dollar books all day.
Sure.
But I would imagine that as the raw stuff grows and we just continue to get bigger and bigger, that price will probably drop even a little bit.
Sorry. So is there an opportunity, like if I had a complete run of something, could
Not yet. Not yet. The runs and sets and bundles and people oftentimes have like 2 slabs they want to sell together.
Right.
The difficulty with that is our whole system is built off this awesome, very detailed, robust like database of books. And when we start doing bundles and things like that, it throws off how that database is getting built and all the records that are going into it. And it's not undoable. It's totally doable. It just takes resources that we don't currently have because we're focused on the auction stuff.
Right.
But that is like a super requested feature that we've been like, yes, we will eventually. So the plan is to bring that at some point. I would imagine there might be some possibilities of that happening once auctions is a thing. But yeah.
And do you guys see any future in like other graded collectibles? Since
I mean, totally, right? I mean, so the thing is that, we started all this as graded only. You guys know that from way back in the day. And that was, that's where we started building what we have for our database. And it was built a lot off of the graded stuff. So we would just probably need to build another database off of another graded vertical. But I mean, we have the framework in place. So it would make sense to me that we would do different collectibles, but we want to be the masters of the comic sales apps before we deviate at all, I would imagine.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think Shortboxed, for people that don't understand, they know a Shortbox is for comics. I don't think people would think of Shortboxed for graded action figures or graded video games. Not to say that you wouldn't get there, but anybody who's just said, oh, "Hey, you got a Shortbox," they know what you're talking about. They know that it's for comic book related.
But kind of based on what you said earlier, Justin, about the Transformer cards, kind of tying it back to Lorcana and stuff like that. Like you buy them and you display them, right? And I do see other competitors of the app also going down the space of different verticals, cards, games, action figures. I've been approached by them. So I mean, my preference is to work with these guys. It's no secret. I'm very open about that. I'm an advocate for Shortbox. So it would benefit someone like myself who dabbles in everything if they did, right? I'd love to bring all my items to that. But if they don't, then but it just seeing what other people are doing, right? It's just a question of mine. As someone who collects a little bit of everything, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I understand what you guys are saying as well.
Yeah. I mean, we want to be a home for all of it. We want it all. We want to be the
go-to place. So when you're going to roll, and I don't know how much you can say on this, but obviously, like you said, you're rolling out these auctions with specific sellers. Like, will the buyers know when these events happen? They'll get notifications. It'll be like this seller, or is it just kind of here's all the books and we're gonna do it? I guess.
It's gonna be like.
Or is it gonna be like a heritage style where they could do the pre-bidding and then it'll start and it'll just be that day, or like what's the?
I actually don't know about the pre-bidding, but it'll be event style, like the heritage thing where there's like a lot of items. So there'll be like, we'll let everyone know Friday at 5, the auction bidding starts, or you can see the items, then bidding will open on Saturday and it'll close on Sunday. Will be like the general idea. And then you can go in, you can take a look at all the stuff. You can like items to watch them. You can come back and like check where the bids are at. And then when bidding opens, go nuts, drop those bids, and then see if it gets knocked out or if you still maintain high bid. You can even try to snipe, like do the countdown timer on point. You try to snipe. It's kind of fun.
How does that work? Because from just seeing and looking at like some of the other auction houses, right? Heritage resets, Metropolis does Comic Connect does like a 5-minute timer when a bid hits. Golden's was like a 30-minute timer if you placed a pre-bid. There's wild rules at different auction houses. How does that happen?
We're going
what does it
simple.
Start at $1? These
books it'll start at $1.
Okay, and then what? Final 30 minutes. If there's a bid active, it kicks into 30 seconds. Does it kick into?
It just straight countdown. So it'll just timer will change from your green count to like red numbers when it's like 10 minutes or 30 minutes, and then it'll count down to the second. Get your bids in. Get your bids in. Well, the nice thing is that all of the notifications and what you need to like do what you need to do is within the app. You're not having to like load a website that maybe needs to be optimized. Or get your phone out, and it's designed to just be all in one spot. You don't need to really go anywhere to do anything.
That's cool.
But you can leave and you'll get the notifications if you're outbid. You'll get emails letting you know if stuff's transpiring while you're away.
Right. So, that's interesting. So like the Comic Connect website, it's been a while since I've been on there, but when I was working and then after when I was looking for stuff in buying, it's difficult to track multiple items, because you'd have to, like the system and the website was old and antiquated, and it was like you had to have like 5 different things open, and when something would end, it would like refresh on another page. It was really challenging. So like the fact that it could be right there on the phone, which we're on all the time, and you
get a list of all the items that are in the lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a bidder on any of those, it'll say like your bid. That's then you can easily go in and out of the auctions if you want to. And the auctions are also staggered, so not all of them just stop at the same time. It's like a minute or two between the end of each one. Yeah.
Now, do we foresee either you or Gene or anyone else being live auctioneers, or?
No, not yet. I mean, at some point, probably when we get to live selling, there will be some testing and some fun stuff we'll get to do around that if we decide to go that route. But no carnival barker action for us anytime real soon.
But could we get a preview just in case it goes that route, so like we know what to expect?
Yeah.
Put
you on the spot.
Step right up. Get your slabs here. That's all I got. Sorry.
It could be I guess for selling on that.
Yeah.
On the app as well, obviously there's a 10% seller fee. Is the auction fee, I guess, would be that the same, or are we keeping that across the board? Okay.
Yeah, 10%. That's another thing that I was kind of hinting at with, when people start to unlock various tiers of these badges and start to do really well, and they ship all the time within a day, and their packaging is always awesome, and they're just like doing great. I mean, we want to like reward those people. So, maybe we could like, when I said more money in your pocket, maybe there will be a little change in your rate temporarily, or for your next couple sales or something. But that's kind of the idea. We want to motivate people to bring some of the larger books on and to take advantage of stuff like that. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So when's the official first launch of this?
I believe it's the week after 11th, like the 13th. So the week
of November,
I believe. Yeah, so just in a couple of weeks here, I believe. As long as like testing goes well, we'll do some big announcements on the social and via email announcements and whatnot.
And do we have a sneak preview of what those books might be, Kev?
I actually don't know, because we've been doing the testing with a bunch of just sample books, nothing from the actual list, but I know there's a list somewhere. What we're probably going to post some teaser pictures, like check out what's going up for auction, beforehand. But I don't know. Hit me up if I get that info. I'm happy to share it with you.
Would that list be hidden in a short box?
If so, a very inefficient way to store a digital file.
Can I remove you from the stream for that?
I will remove myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick you from the stream for that. Now, and here's the great thing that obviously, like with Heritage, is the same thing. There's always different themes. Will you guys be doing like a theme lot? Because like for myself,
fun.
Like I would love to do like I'll do all Star Wars.
We gotta get you out of the Star Wars role.
We'll just do like, or like I'll do all variants, like all ratio and exclusive variants, or like.
Yeah, man. I mean, themes are fun. Themes are super fun, and they make it easy to source the items that you want to put up for auction, because it's like if you're not doing that, it's sort of like a amorphous set of parameters that's like, what do we want to sell? Cool books. But if it's like cool books and their Star Wars or their video game books or their international books or something like that, I will say that I believe the first auctions that we're doing are still going to just be graded books. I don't know if we've done any stuff around the raw piece yet. That is something that will probably come to auctions once they're out. So that's something else to mention.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to it. I'm excited to see how the live auction works on the site. 'Cause again, you could be anywhere, obviously right on your phone. That's obviously the best thing. That's trying to look at like a Heritage auction or Comic Connect on your phone. That's like a no-go.
None of these companies have mobile apps. It's wild.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have tried using it yet in a convention setting, but the price guide in the app, dude, like it works. It does, like you could have the most threadbare internet connection, and because it's just like a little table with prices and numbers and shit, it just like loads on the app in zero service at shows when everyone around you is like trying to refresh their insert your favorite comic aggregate service here. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go for monitoring auctions from a con setting, because that always happens during the year, right? You're at a show and you're like, some heritage things going on. You're like, son of a,
you're like,
I got to keep going outside. Like, I wonder. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, I saw you in Baltimore using the app, showing off that, and it worked great. It worked perfectly down in the convention center, underground with thousands of people on their phones as well. So when you need a quick thing, it's
crazy. Like I would leave the app and then I go to my phone to call someone to meet them, and it would just like no connection at all. Like not even the phone is getting through, and I'm able to use the price guide at a convention. It's pretty baller.
Well, I'm excited. I'm sure everyone out there who's listening, it definitely some nice updates to the Shortboxed app, and
totally,
it's something that you guys have been just killing it since I first met Gene years ago. And I always say this, I remember when there was this thing, it was just like a little booth. It just said Shortbox and selling books.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? And then the app is just blown up since then, and it's so easy to use. Like selling books is probably one of the most easiest things to do, but taking photos is probably the most annoyingest things to do. When
listings, creating your listings is tedious, and
it's absolute worst thing. And I think with you guys, it's the grading of the graded books has been like the easiest thing to do. And that was always like how loving, easy, snap the photos, it reads the barcode, it knows what it is. And now that you have the once then you guys have the updated of the price charting, where to set your price. It's not just like, all right, let me go on eBay or let me go on GPA and find out, well, what's the good price to put this at? Oh, it's right there. I know what to do.
Right. And there's some like future stuff we plan to bring, like, algorithmic feeds, so it's like people log in and they get to see stuff they're interested in, because we curate the feed every day, to make sure it looks cool with all those dope books for everyone to check out. And we're also bringing some options in to make it easier for sellers to be discoverable on the app, so someone can come into the app and search for comicdunes and find all your books in the app instead of having to go to a separate website to look at that and then tap to go back into the app. Like, that's stupid. So we're changing a bunch of stuff. I'm happy to, once we've got auctions out and we see how this goes, I'm happy to hop back on the old podcast and tell you guys how it's going.
I hope they fire that guy who did that, who's like, you got to go to the website and then go back to the app because it's a stupid idea.
It's probably the guy who built the app, bro.
Damn it. We can't get rid of those guys.
All right. So, again, that's absolutely awesome. Kevin, thank you so much for popping on here. Jeff, do you have any more questions for Kevin? If not, we can kind of just real quick, we can jump into from freestyle, or we can just kind of end the show as usual. So
I'd like to freestyle for a little bit. I think,
sure.
As you were talking about some of the features, I just was curious because, my background working at a few different of the auction houses, and they're
bona fide.
Yeah. They're like reluctancy to build out an app and get into that space. So to hear you guys who've been pushing the envelope, like Justin said, Justin mentioned before, the small booth, then it was bigger, and then it was like this guy, that guy, and then we got Kevin, and I was like, the app is great people, here we are.
Yeah, and you got a street team. I mean, shit, like
what other Steals and Deals. Shout out to Stampede. Hey,
hell yeah.
Dude, our social team is incredible. Like, the people that we've chosen to align ourselves with. And it's not like a social team that just works 24 hours a day for us either. It's like they have their own content, their own brand they're creating. And our marketing direction with them is like, go do what you're doing. We never tell any of them to do anything, and it comes out very, very genuine.
Yeah. Like the people that you guys have working for the street team and representing the company, like they're actually in the space, they're reading the books, they're talking about it, they're they're promoting the things that are in the stores, that are pushing the actual sales of with, again, a few variants here and there mixed in, right? But like, they're reading the books, and that's the most important thing to me.
And it's not just always the top books that they're talking about. It's sometimes it's just like a random Spider-Man book that, hey, if you wanted it in this high grade or mid grade and you didn't realize that, hey, it's on the app for a really good price right now, like, go pick it up.
it's kind of silly and doesn't really align with what we're currently doing. But I think it'd be so cool to buy be able to find old trades that you've been looking for forever on the app.
Let's go.
That'd be tight.
We know a guy, Gene. If you're listening, great idea.
Talk about knee-jerk purchases, man. Old trades all day long.
God, I've been to some comic stores and they have some great trade paperbacks though that you just don't see anymore. I love finding the old Dark Horse Star Wars stuff or just random video game trades that you're just wow, they made trade paperbacks for this title.
Yeah.
It's when you open it up and it's first printing and you're like, what? I can't believe I've ever seen anything like this. Or there's some places in Connecticut that I like going to that they have some the most randomest of trade paperbacks you'd ever find in a store.
There's a couple of dealers on the con road, during the year that just cart just awesome selections of trades. And I really don't have a hit list of keys I'm hunting at shows because I'm ultimately there to work, and spending thousands of dollars while I'm working kind of distracts me. So I end up going in those booths and just walking away with a pile of stuff every time. As you can see from the monster bookshelf behind me.
Oh, we know that. And I'm sure you haven't read all that stuff. And we talked about that last time, that when you go to other cities, you always go and find those great trade paperbacks. And that's like me too. It's just that's kind of the thing. And I know one of the guys that you're talking about who literally goes to shows and just has nothing but trades and has great deals, and
his back has got to be destroyed.
I hate looking at that booth it was in Baltimore. Literally, if you walked to the right of your booth, and he was also at New York Comic Con, I forget his name. But, I hate looking at his deals because sometimes they're so good, but I'm thinking, if I buy 2 hardcovers and 3 trades, it's going to fill my backpack. And this thing is just going to be I'm just going to be carrying this thing around the whole day.
Nothing worse than a hardcover jammed in your backpack when you're trying to get on a flight.
And here's an opportunity to promote the Shortboxed backpack, and then leaving it up at my booth also works.
Yeah. Too.
I'm at the booth and I look down. I'm taking inventory, and we're wildly busy. And I look at John. And I'm like, whose freaking box is this? He's like, oh, it's Justin's. I start going through, and there's just tons and tons of Star Wars and variants and this and that. I'm like, this guy.
If you ever see us at a show at the Shortbox booth, you want to drop something off in the booth to not carry it for a while, you're welcome to. We have an office built into the booth.
Ooh.
Lock it up.
You guys have the most simplest booth, and that's all you need. It's simple. You talk about the app and you show the books, and then sometimes you also have the TV. You have the TV running, and some. What was it in Baltimore? You guys were watching the game, right? It's Sunday.
Yeah. We threw on the Baltimore game.
Yeah, that's great. That's the perfect spot to just hang out and sit and learn about the Shortbox app, and because no other booth is like that.
And they remembered our carpet pad this year, so it was a pleasurable viewing experience. I remember the year before that they forgot our carpet pad for the booth all weekend. Oh my god, man! I had to get a pedicure at the airport.
Oh, dude, Kev, tell them about the time where they constructed the booth with all the wrong screws.
That was this year too, I think.
It was this year. Yeah, it was earlier this year, I think. Or no, last year, because you didn't do
Baltimore last year, I think.
Yeah. The guy was like, I didn't have all the screws to do it. I got to go get some. And then we start looking at the booth, and I was like, dude, you put the long screws in the short screw holes. No wonder you didn't have enough. Dude, and so Jeff and I hand unwound everything in the booth, and I was like, don't worry, man, just come by tomorrow and put these in. They're right here. I mean, ultimately, there's a 90% success rate on booth building at shows. They're always going to run into weird crap where they just forget
that
some
guy had one
crucial piece.
He had one.
I don't want to crap on him. He was a hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, you know what? He tightened some of those screws though. How'd you get the beans above the Frank when he was putting those screws in? Some of them were backwards and inside the wrong things. It was just insane.
Kevin, so I've had Jeff here on the podcast, and we did this thing called the State of Comics a couple of weeks ago, which was really good. Just chatting with a bunch of people in the community, and asking kind of different topics. Obviously with the Shortboxed app, And there's a lot of people that out there that kind of talk about like the pricing of books, and they've seen like the decline and the increase during COVID and decline after that. How do you feel on, where comics are? I mean, obviously you guys have this algorithm, and what's the state of comics to you as far as, do you think where prices are now are good? Because obviously it puts everybody who couldn't afford books back then, or it just gets
Yeah,
comics in the hands of collectors that want to collect.
I think it's good because I feel like there were a bunch of people priced out during COVID. So
Mhm.
now that the prices are sort of normalizing or getting back to where they should be, people are starting to get a little more inclined to spend the money on the books. And now that money is like half of what it was a year ago. So
Mhm.
that's a bummer, of course, for sellers. But I mean, I think we all knew this wasn't going to last. I don't think that we thought this was just a purely upward trajectory from here on out. So I don't even think anyone really expected those prices to plateau, to be honest. So I feel like comics are just kind of back to struggling along for shop owners to make ends meet, and people to kind of read and collect what they're interested in. I feel like there's been a pretty big shift in like the influencer space. Like I feel like that was a lot bigger last year than this year.
With what,
But
bigger books?
no, like
Just
just
the market.
influencers telling people what to buy all the time. Like I feel like that's not really happening quite as much. People are posting about their collections and things like that. Of course, I'm not working in a shop anymore, which gives me a totally different perspective than I used to have. But I think that things are looking good for comics. Whenever one particular category of book starts to drop off or whatever, another one sort of swings in to take its place. I mean,
Mhm.
people want to spend money on this stuff.
Yeah, because you guys do typically at the end of the year, and I know like on your social media, and I remember like you
Hmm.
guys were on with like Three Men in the Basement, and you were talking about like the top, the top 10 books that would sell, top 10 categories. Like, do you see a
Yeah.
shift in a dynamic? Like, it's no longer like those first appearance, Silver Age and Bronze Age, like mega books. It's now just like the everyday book that you and or even like other types of books that like you're like wow, like I didn't think that I'd kind of see like maybe like pre-code horror or like video game
Yeah.
related titles kind of see an increase.
Seeing a little bit of an increase in the, video games always tends to get little bumps every now and again, like
Mhm.
the interest kind of spikes and then dips. But I'd say that if things haven't, so I haven't gotten a state of comics from our data guy very recently, but if things are holding to what they were, I would say that, we probably make the most money on Golden Age books on the app, or the most Golden Age books, like price wise. That's
Mhm.
where a big chunk of the money is. But then for volume, it's modern, but we are seeing a lot of growth in that middle area for like the silver, some major minor keys stuff that's now coming either down into the $100 to $300 range, or stuff that's coming up into the $100 to $300 range. So I think there's like give and take all over, but definitely nothing where we're seeing just like a plummeting or like a drop off for any particular vertical or category.
Mhm. Do you get a lot of
It's
requests for like specific books that are maybe not on the app? Like, is that
I would
something that
say
ever
the most consistent ones we get are probably international comics, just because there's
Okay.
like a lot of those have never been graded by CGC in the States. So there's no like
Yeah.
record or back trail of sales or, you know, conditions of the ones that are available or anything like that. So I would say international. Like if like we'll get a seller who come in and be like, I want to do international stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, please do. And then they're like, it's all raw. And then they upload and the hit rate's not quite what they want. They only get a
Mhm.
little portion of their collection up in there. And that's cool. But I mean, yeah, it would be awesome if we could upload the other 50% of the books that they have. They just literally are books that have only really surfaced in the public eye in the last few years because international people just didn't pay attention to at all. I mean, Jeff can speak to that. I know he's gotten into the international stuff a little bit lately, or
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've seen a
you're
lot of stuff.
showing off some stuff.
we
Yeah.
dabble. I dabble a little bit. I mean, if they could see, I'd pull some stuff out now there. But
Hmm.
no, I think you and I had the conversation about putting some international stuff up. My
Hmm.
problem is just with the shop, I was super overwhelmed. But I'd love to get some of
Yeah.
that
No
stuff back
time.
on. But I know with
Yeah.
like the database and not having the history behind it, it's kind of difficult to scrape that information, right?
It's hard to because it's a big database, so you don't want to have a process where you're going in and like manually entering in individual records. You have to figure out a way to procedurally backfill information or a way to go in and capture from new sources. Maybe I don't really know what the solution is there, other than maybe like gathering a bunch of these things that need to be added and then trying to work that big list of stuff as a project to make movements. But it's it's just we don't
list the titles for you guys, and I'll shoot an email.
I mean, honestly, if anybody wants to send me a list of books, and so there's another thing. This is fun, full circle. In the app, when you search for a book, like you're trying to upload it or you're searching in the price guide, and it says no book found, you can tap the red report button, and that automatically sends us a report of the book that you're trying to enter.
So there are ways
directly?
No,
it goes to our engineering
team. Is that a
team.
direct report button to Kevin?
I wish.
Yeah, me too.
No, that's a secret button. I'll tell you about sometime.
Like this, I'm like title.
Yeah.
Kev.
Kevin. But yeah, cool. So we're trying to also use the strength of our user network to help bolster, the effort it takes to accurately report on all the stuff that we're missing. But with millions of comics, there's so many. It's so crazy to even think that we're missing any. But yeah. Will from Torpedo hit me up the other day. He's like, "Hey, you guys, I can't find this in the database." He had like a epic comic magazine with Pantera on it. I was like, "That's cool. I've never seen that in my life, and I wish that was in the database so we could sell it." But yeah, it's a process. It'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll eventually have every comic ever from all over the world in there.
Yeah, what a few other places do, and I'm not going to name them in case the boss hears it. We don't call them out and get yelled at. They list it under the American title, which drives me fucking nuts, right? Like, I don't want to.
So there's two parts to that. Like there's I agree with you. Especially for raw books, the record shouldn't have the American title in it unless that's on the cover. But I do understand why the graded records end up having the American title. It's just because somebody at CGC made the fucking from the hip decision to throw the American name on there. Like they built that indices. That's not something that they went and like grabbed from somewhere else. They had to create that, I would imagine.
Oh my God. Let's see. My son's 5. So like 4 or 5 years ago when I was at Metropolis Comic Connect, we had gotten the collection of, what's that guy's name from Super 7? Brian Flynn.
Brian Flynn.
Yeah. He had a wild pre-code horror collection, and he had everything in English. And all the iconic covers he had in Spanish, the Chamber of Chills 19, and then they had it was called Cuentas de Bruja, right?
Yeah.
Cover. It was like House of the whatever the fuck it is, whatever witch, and it's like I want that title.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want just the Chamber of Chills 19 Spanish. Like
I think Brian Flynn might be a seller on the app. He actually has some stuff listed.
His collection, that was one of the coolest things.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I think I have some pictures I'll send you guys.
Okay, check it out.
Well, before we wrap this up, let's kind of go around the horn. I appreciate both you guys coming on here in the absence of Milton the Manimal. Mr. Comic Dunes, where can people find you?
Oh my goodness, you can find me on Instagram, Comic Dunes, on Whatnot Comic Dunes, and then you can find us at Jam Comics on Instagram. It's Jam Comics Store, and on Whatnot it's also the Jam Comics. So you could just ping Comic Dunes, hit me up on Instagram, and we'll give you all the links to everything you need.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course,
go see him in person. Go see him in the jurors, dude.
Yeah, we'll be at shows to be determined since we're back in the game now. But they let the leash off this guy, so we might be getting a little bit crazy from here on out.
Yeah, I've been up to the shop. They got comics, they got cards, they got video games, some cool action figures, music posters. So if you're up in the North Jersey area, nice little drive, fun little area. Go check that out. Mr. Kevin from Shortboxed, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a while that we actually got to talk about the updating of the app. Great time seeing you in Baltimore. And then where can people find you if you have any other information?
Yeah, you can reach me directly. You can email me kevin@shortbox.com or at Kevin_Shortbox on Instagram. I believe I'm even Kevin Shortbox on Facebook, though I don't use it very much. And then you can also reach us, any of the team members, by reaching out to any of the emails that we have. Hello at Shortboxed, accounts at Shortboxed, whatever you guys need, we're here to help with. Yeah, don't forget to smash the subscribe and the like. But no, yeah, you can reach me wherever, whenever. Just give me a shout. I'm here to help.
Awesome. Cool. Then do you have any special going on for the Comic-Con podcast with this episode
yes.
dropping?
I haven't put it together quite yet, or I haven't been provided with the promo code, but we are going to provide a promo code for listeners that will go through the end of November. The promo code details, it will be a $15 promo code with a minimum $100 purchase. We will put the details for the promo code in the description of this when Justin posts it.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Love a good air horn.
So you guys heard that. Make sure you check the description for this if you're looking to save some money on your short box purchase, whether it's a raw book or a graded book. So and then look forward to their auctions next month. I'm super excited to see that when that starts. So that's it for everyone here at the Comic-Con podcast. Appreciate everybody listening, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Later, alligators.